Human history is not linear, there are big catastrophes in human history, so civilization is not constantly going forward. Moreover, some parts of the world are much more advanced than others. All myths, religions are full of human-looking entities coming from the sea and teaching agriculture, metallurgy, taming horses. Atlanteans, Anunnaki, Nordics, whatever the name is, ancient people viewed them as gods or demigods. This antediluvian advanced civilization spread to the world after the Younger Dryas, where sea level rise 60 meters, because their continent Atlantis was totally under the sea. When they migrated to other parts of the world, they were described possessing horns, wings, fish tails, or reptilian features, most likely the result of elaborate costumes. Such costumes were worn by human royals in ancient times, and the most common items of regalia used by royals have their origins in this golden age of the gods, as for example, the crown, inspired by the solar disk. Their other most famous attribute was their ability to shine. They were called the Elu in Babylonian myths, and Elohim in the Bible, both of which translate as shining ones. In fact, the name of the land of Sumer or Shinar, which they were responsible for civilizing, is related to the words shine, shimmer, and summer. These beings possessed not merely white skin, which most of their human descendants most certainly did, but in fact shine like the sun, and just looking at them could blind a man or kill him. The light was especially known to radiate from their powerful, glowing eyes, which is why they were known as the Watchers. We can see traces of this in the birth of Noah. Noah's body was white as snow and red as the blooming of a rose, his hair was white as wool, and his eyes lit up the house like the sun. Lamech, upon seeing the child, was afraid and suspected that Noah was the offspring of the Watchers, fallen angels. Lamech goes to his father Methuselah, who in turn seeks out his own father Enoch, who had been taken by God, for an explanation. Enoch reassures Lamech and Methuselah that Noah is indeed Lamech's son, who will be a survivor of a great destruction, the flood, that is coming upon the earth. The king of the antediluvian gods was Anu, Oannes, or Ouranos, the father of the Titans in Greek mythology. Their civilization relied very heavily on sea power, and thus their kings identified very heavily with sea symbolism. They also identified with the planets, the sun, and the stars, most likely because of their vast knowledge of astronomy, and because of their ability to shine. The next ruler of Atlantis, and of the world of the gods to follow Anu, was his son, the Sumerian Enki, the Greek Kronos, the Roman Saturn, and the Christian Satan. It depends on which myth you believe whether Anu died, was killed by his son Enki Satan, or simply retired. At any rate, Enki ruled Atlantis at length, and was renowned for both his wisdom and his ingenuity. The descriptions of human contact with the old antediluvian gods seem to take on a different tone after the flood. They no longer ruled the earth directly, but for the most part remained hidden, and could be seen except through veils. It was as if a dimensional shift of some sort occurred at the same time as the flood, and they now spent most of their time occupying those upper dimensions that man could not access. They used their human-god hybrid descendants as conduits acting on their behalf. Their descendants became priest-kings, and were known as sons of the gods, indeed, as incarnations of the gods, the only ones capable of contacting the gods and acting on their behalf. This is the tradition that has defined human kingship ever since. And the first one to set the precedent was Cain.